We've just gotten word there is a tornado warning in an area. Let's go to Cecily and find out the very latest.
All right, thank you. We just got it in now. Now we have a tornado warning for Berks County. This is issued until 5:30. So I have the 3D right now, and I think we can also get the tornado warning polygon to show you what we're looking at. Now this is the same cell that did spark the severe thunderstorm warning earlier, and it's actually intensifying. If we look at this, you can see if you live in the Redding area, if you live in Berks County right now, what you want to do is seek shelter immediately. When we have a tornado warning, you want to get as many layers between you and the outside of your house. So obviously, if you do have a basement, get into the basement. If you don't have a basement, an interior bathroom's a good idea. Again, as many layers from you and the outside, because the biggest problem with tornado warnings is the potential for some debris that could be picked up with the potential for tornadoes, or at least some very strong winds. So we have Storm Tracker live right now, and what I'm doing is showing you this complex of storms. We've had 82 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes. As this continues, it's generally pushing to the east-southeast. It's moving very quickly. We've been seeing these storms moving at about 30 miles per hour, and I think if we can put in, there we go. We've got the tornado. I have the polygons right now. So this is the area that we're looking at. Redding, Boyertown, it's just to the west of Pottstown. So that tornado warning has been posted until 5:30. Again, seek shelter immediately. This system is moving very quickly, and we have been looking at the potential for wind gusts up to about 70 miles per hour. So even if this isn't in fact a tornado, we can be looking at some very vicious straight line winds. So we have now flipped over our radar to what's called relative velocity. So what this does, it shows the direction of the winds. When you have the green polygon right here, that's showing the wind direction that's toward the radar site. The red is away. So this is what we're looking at right here. This is where what it's called is gate-to-gate shear. You've got the wind going in one direction, part of the atmosphere, another one, and that's what can be kind of flipping up a quick tornado. So right now, it's moving to the east very quickly. Mount Pleasant, Leesport. If you live in Leesport, you do want to seek shelter immediately. If you have some friends that live along Route 61, Temple and Tuckerton, it's moving pretty quickly. So this is what we look. When we get the very bright red with the very bright green, again, that's the gate-to-gate shear. That shows that there is a little bit of a spin in the atmosphere. That's what's triggering the potential for a tornado. So this is actually good. Thank you so much. Chris is back there working really hard right now. We've got New Byfrill Hill Road. That is where that potential tornado has been passing through. Fairview Drive also in the track, also along Route 61. So if you do know some people who are maybe traveling up here, you do want to give them a call. It's just to the north of Blue Marsh. So can we also flip this over and see if we see any cylinders with this? Okay, if you're just joining us. Here we go. We do have that tornado warning. So here we go. It's moving east at 30 miles per hour, and we have been seeing this potential gate-to-gate shear again, the potential for spin in the atmosphere. So let's go back to the regular storm tracker, and why don't we go ahead and try to see if we can track that storm. I'm going to put it in here. Sorry, this is live. We're working on the fly here. Let's go to Storm Tracker. All right, tornado warning until 5:30. This is a pretty large section of Berks County, Redding, Boyertown, just to the east of Womelsdorf. Storm Tracker 6 shows the storm as we're tracking it. 79 lightning strikes the past 15 minutes. Why don't we track this cell? And what we're looking at when you see a radar with the potential for tornadoes, you're wanting to look for what's called a hook echo. When you get damaging straight line winds, you get a bow echo. It actually looks like a bow. But when we have the potential for a tornado, you can see right here, there's a little bit of a hook developing. So what this means, that radar, it's actually the rain is wrapping around the center of the storm. The center is where you get that lift, that updraft. That doesn't have the rain. So that's where we're seeing that hook. Now, these are some of the communities in the path of this potential tornado. Riverview Park, Berkeley, Tuckerton, Mulberg, and Temple at 519, crossing very quickly, about 30 miles per hour, crossing Route 61. And why don't we go ahead and advance that a little bit more as we're looking at the potential for a tornado. We have been seeing severe thunderstorms with winds up to about 70 miles per hour, some hail as well. That tornado warning is in effect for Berks County until 5:30 tonight. I don't know if we have any live pictures we can show.
Not as
possibly.
right now, yeah. But social media. If tell people,
Oh,
social
that's true.
media.
Yeah. If you
you're
have
on
any
social
pictures.
media in this area, I mean, you can be
But if get inside.
sheltered, of
Exactly.
course, of course. If you see anything happen, once the
Let me
storm
look.
passes, then you can get out there, grab some photos. If you are hearing anything or seeing anything, hit us up on not only the main Action News page, but also our personal pages as well. Tornado warning still continues until 5:30. As Cecily's been mentioning, it's kind of in the heart here of Berks County near Reading, to the west of Boyertown, and it borders parts of Chester County and Montgomery County. But as we take a look at the latest radar right now, where Cecily was mentioning that hook is just to the east of Blue Marsh and south of Tuckerton and Temple. The hook always happens where you don't have the heaviest rain, where you don't have the most lightning. All that is to the north of where the possible twist in the storm is, which is in the southern areas here. This is the track right here as it's moving to the east-southeast at about 30 miles an hour in Berks County. The latest towns and times here: Riverview Park at 5:18, Wyomissing at also 5:19, Tuckerton 5:21. That's a little to the north of where that circulation could be, but you still want to take shelter in this entire county. West Reading as well at 5:22. Now, we do have on the radar, if there was an indication of spin in the storm, you would see that cylinder on the radar. It's not that the radar's not showing it, doesn't mean that it's not there, but it's a good sign that we don't see that circulation right now in this area. So if you're in Berks County, near Reading, in any of these towns, or you live near one of these towns, what you want to do right now is get into the lowest level of your home if you can. You want to avoid the windows. If you're in a high rise, people always ask me that, where do I go in a high rise, or just go in a closet? No, you want to get on the first level of that high rise, away from the windows. Best place to be, interior hall or bathroom without any windows. If you do not have a basement, that is the best place to be. And again, we're going to go back to exactly where this warning is until 5:30 p.m. This is when you want to seek shelter in and around Reading, especially just to the north of downtown Reading. And again, Boyertown is in the far eastern part of this storm where it is moving right now. And here is the latest radar. And this is the part of the storm. You see this almost like upside down U here. That is where the winds come in and funnel with the heaviest storm to the north. So you get the winds to kind of wrap into this storm, and as it wraps in, that's where you start to see the relative velocity. And Chris, if we can zoom out just a tiny bit, put the velocity back on there, and maybe we could see if there's anything going on. You want to see that gate-to-gate shear Cecily was mentioning. When you take a look at this, we're not seeing any green on here. Green would be, what's that?
North of Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
Right there.
It's up here.
Yeah.
It's up here. Okay, I'm looking down at Reading here. Mount Pleasant up here. So here you can see that gate-to-gate shear. Whenever you have the darkest greens and the darkest reds next to each other, that's opposing winds going in different directions. So our radar, which is to the east of this, the green is going towards the radar. The red is going away from the radar. So that creates the spin in the atmosphere. So if you're near Mount Pleasant, this is where the dangerous part of the storm is right now, where you're starting to see all these greens and reds coming together. I know kind of almost looks like Legos putting together to you here at home, but this is what we look for in the meteorology world. And this tool on Storm Tracker 6 Live radar is far better than the actual radar itself, because this is basically taking the winds out of the storm where it's moving and only sees the winds within the storm of how they're acting. So this is where we're watching, just to the north of Blue Marsh, Mount Pleasant. And if you go down the pike just a little bit here, Tuckerton, Temple right here, you're getting a tremendous amount of lightning. 71 lightning strikes in the last 15 minutes just in this vantage point alone here. So you're hearing a constant roar of that thunder and constant flashes of lightning. And many people say if there was a tornado on the ground, you kind of get the resemble of a freight train coming through, but it's going to be hard to hear that if there was a tornado on the ground just because of that constant lightning and thunder right now. So here is downtown Reading, and again, there's Blue Marsh where we started to see that circulation, but it is now moving into downtown Reading and North Reading at the present time, south of Tuckerton here. There you can see the purples, the reds, the heaviest rain, North 6th Street, River Road. This area definitely takes shelter. Also along 222, we're getting into the rush hour where people are leaving work. If you are at home and you know someone who is about to leave work, 5:30 or so, you may want to give them a quick call on their cell phone. Let them know to stay put if they're in this region until this passes. 5:30 is when the warning is until. And there you can see Hyde Park at 5:23, Reading at 5:25. The time right now 5:20, so that's a 5-minute warning into downtown Reading here. And the storm again still packing quite a punch. Cecily over there at the big board with more on 3D.
And I've been looking at some more information, and we really are focusing on Berks County right now, but we do have some reports of wind damage in Chester County, West Brandywine Township. Some large trees are on top a high tension power line at 291 Lafayette Road. So I do want to let you know about that as well. So we are on a 3D storm tracker and showing you what Adam's been talking about, that tornado warning in effect for a large section of Berks County until 5:30 tonight. So this is really the complex of storms that we're tracking as it continues to head towards Reading. It's just to the north and west right now. It's moving very quickly, and this is all associated with the cold front that is putting an end to the heat wave. But we have such high heat right now, high dew points, so this is really fueling the storms. So we are very close up right now on this particular cell on 3D. So there you can see Reading, and what we can do now is show you what the roads are that are going to be affected, because people in this area really do want to seek shelter right immediately. West Windsor Street, North 16th, Moss Street, and Greenwich Street right now, this is all in the path of the storm. What we're looking at is this pretty distinct hook echo right here. And what this shows, it shows actually the winds wrapping around the updraft of the thunderstorm. In the middle, that's where you don't have the most intense winds. But where you have that wrapping of the winds, that is why the National Weather Service has put up that tornado warning until 5:30 tonight. So Chris, why don't we zoom out on this and we can do another track on that. A tornado warning in effect for Berks County. Typically, this region, we do see some short duration tornadoes. They're usually very low on the enhanced fajita scale, an EF0, EF1, but they can do a lot of damage. And even where you don't actually get the wrapping winds, you can get some very damaging straight line winds. And we have seen that in Chester County already. So it's tracking right now 521. Actually, that's now. It's in Benhart's at 523. College Heights, Ridgewood, Mount Penn, Never Sink by 532. So this is the most dangerous part of the storm right now. It's just to the north of the center of Reading, downtown Reading right now. And this is where we are seeing the potential for those wrapping winds. Also, our indications are that there could be quite a bit of hail with the storm, not in the center of the storm, but just right now to the east of the storm. Where we see that purple, that's where we have the hail. It's heading towards 5 points right now. Why don't we lighten up, zoom out a little bit, Chris, and we can maybe label some roads. So the severe thunderstorm warning that was earlier this evening, that was in effect until 5:30, it was actually upgraded to a tornado warning. Now, what this means is that the radar is indicating that there is the potential for wind cause a tornado. We don't have any reports from any eyewitnesses of any funnel clouds touching down, but we do have that pretty classic radar signature of that hook that indicates there is a potential for a tornado. So lightning strikes right now 38 Carsonia Avenue. It's heading towards you. 5 points, Hampton Boulevard, North 11th Street, as it continues to race to the east. And it is, again, for most of Berks County. So as we go back to that graphic, this is the tornado warning. This is the area. If you live in this area, you do need to seek shelter immediately. It's now shifted just to the north and east of Reading. It includes Boyertown. It includes just west of Pottstown. If you live in Pottstown, it doesn't look like you'll get the tornado, but you likely will be getting some damaging winds. So what you want to do, if you live within that polygon, you want to go ahead and maybe turn up your TV so you can hear it. Take your device, go down to the basement if you can. If you don't have a basement, go to an interior room, perhaps a bathroom, perhaps a closet, something away from windows, because when we get this rotating wind, the biggest problem with the potential for a tornado is the debris that it can toss your way. So you definitely do want to get inside. If you know of anyone who's heading towards the Reading area, maybe give them a call. Tell them to wait out that storm as it continues to push to the east. This is definitely a very dangerous storm. So this is, again, what to do. Tornado safety. It's nice to talk about this every now and then because we don't see a lot of tornadoes. You, again, want to avoid windows. Go to the lowest floor in your house. If you don't have a basement, an interior hall, or a bathroom is really where you want to go. What you want to do is put as many layers between you and the outside of the house as possible. That's why perhaps a closet or a bathroom is a good idea. This cell has been triggered by the thunderstorms that are coming from a cold front. That cold front will actually be ending our heat wave. And as we continue to move and show you the storm, we do have some radar echoes right now near Allentown. Can we go ahead and put the 3D in motion, perhaps, and show you how we were looking at the storms earlier this afternoon. Everything was really farther up to the north, and as that cold front gets closer, it is beginning to sink, and we're actually seeing, I'm not seeing any echoes right now near Rating, but we're seeing all these lightning strikes. So we've had 150 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes. So that's why that tornado warning has been posted. And we also have a severe thunderstorm watch until 9 o'clock. Now you'll notice areas across South Jersey and Delaware, these are not under the severe thunderstorm watch because the front that's triggering the storms is to the north. But what will happen tomorrow, that front will continue to sink down to the south, and that will also put an end to the heat wave. And this is the heat wave so far. 91 degrees Tuesday and Wednesday, and today 94 degrees, but of course all the attention right now on Berks County. So what I want to do is pull up our 3D. Are we showing, Chris, why don't we get this out of this mode and see if we can flatten it out so we can see the radar echoes and see if we can see any of the cylinders. Now what our radar can do is, in addition to seeing that signature hook echo, we can actually see a spin in the atmosphere with any cylinders, and we're not picking this up, so that's good news. So that means that the storm likely is weakening. What we can see, if you see that yellow circle, that indicates there's rotation higher in the atmosphere. If we get a red circle, that indicates rotation all the way down to the surface. We're not picking this up right now, so that could be a sign that the radar that is showing that the cell is actually weakening, but we are seeing a lot of lightning strikes. So head back to this. Actually, Chris, why don't we, all right, there we go. So this is the cell we're looking at, just to the north of Reading right now. I have been talking about some other areas of wind damage. So this is another cell that's been moving through Chester County right now. Philadelphia, we're just getting rain. Doylestown, some heavy rain and some thunderstorms as well. 105 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes. And again, that's the cluster that we're watching that's moving through Berks County. So you can really see we had it kind of tilted so you couldn't see the radar right over the city. But this is where the most intense part of the storm is. It's just to the north of Reading. It's moving into eastern Berks County. It's moving east at about 30 miles per hour. Again, we don't have any reports of any eyewitnesses. I think we've been checking our social media accounts. And if you can safely take any pictures, send them to us so that we can report. Have you been looking at some of it?
Yeah, we just got an extension to the tornado.
Okay.
So the tornado warning is now extended out of Berks County. It's still in Berks County until 5:30, but it's extended even farther. I'll show you exactly where it's been. So here's where it was in Berks County, and this was until 5:30. Now it's extended until 6:15. We have a tornado warning now for another 45 minutes, extending it now into northern Chester County, also Montgomery County, Royersford, Pottstown now within this tornado warning. The storm is still in Berks County, so if you are anywhere south of Green Lane, near Royersford, 422, Pottstown, you want to start to seek shelter, get into that place right now. Also, you want to bring your phone so you have an app. You can see the radar. If you can watch us live on your phone, then we can warn you when you can get away from that interior room, or you can seek back to your safety of the upstairs of the home, or you can go about your day. But at this point, you want to get into place in this area of Montgomery County, Chester County, and Berks County until 6:15, or until, if you can watch us on your phone, on your app, to let you know when the storm passes. I want to show you the pagoda in Reading right now. We have a live camera in downtown Reading at the pagoda, and you can start to see some brightening to the west here, which means the storm is now passing downtown Reading. If you look on the other side of the camera, you can see how dark it is here as the storm continues to push to the east and south of Reading right now. I want to go to the radar and we'll show you exactly where we are. Chris, if we can widen out so we can kind of see exactly where we are here. There's 5 points. There is Reading, as it is now just to the east of Reading. We confirmed that on the live camera that it is clear, not clearing, but you're in the clear of the actual heart of that storm that could be producing that twist or tornado. But you can see that classic signature right here being funneled into the worst part of the storm, the dangerous lightning and heavy rain north of the possible circulation. We are not picking up a cylinder on the radar, but the echo on the radar, which is basically the nature that the radar is taking on right now, has that classic look. So let's put on some towns and times for you here as it continues to move to the east-southeast. Again, 5 points right here, which is basically at this time. Beavers Mill at 5:36, which is a little bit down the road here. Yellow House as well as Earlville, you are in the path of this possible tornado. Olney Line at 5:38. Let's put on the velocity, which is storm relative velocity. So we're going to take away the radar mode because this shows the heavy rain of where the heaviest is. But if we flip it over to take a look at the winds, you almost have to dissect this particular storm to the east of Reading, and there you start to see these boxes. What's happening with these boxes, I'm going to explain it to you. We're basically looking inside the storm with Storm Tracker 6 Live Double Scan because we have the dual pole, if you remember, which means a vertical scan, a horizontal scan. So we can see in the storm not only taking away the winds that the storm is creating, but the winds within the storm. So you have the red boxes, the deeper reds. Our radar, again, is far to the east of this in southern parts of Bucks County. So the red is winds moving away from our radar. The green is winds moving toward the radar. So you get these winds moving in different directions, called the gate-to-gate shear, and that creates a tumble in the atmosphere, that wind flow that kind of wraps around one another. So we're seeing it towards 5 points, but if you're in Yellow House, you want to get a heads up. Chris, keep this particular image on here, but if you can widen out just a little more, I want to give a warning farther down the line where this storm is moving. Some towns here. There's Boyertown here, Manatawny, you're probably just to the north of where the circulation could be, but still take shelter. Boyertown, that's another one that we want to watch as well. And if you're just to the south of there, Birdsboro also take shelter at this time. Browns Mills, 5:33. Been talking about Yellow House, that is in the direct path of this possible circulation at 5:36. Spangsville at 5:36 and Weavertown also at 5:36. And this is again where we're seeing that wrapping, so to speak, in this storm relative velocity mode. Again, what you want to do, this we can't tell you enough. They want to tell you over and over again. You want to avoid the windows. I know parts of Berks County and especially downtown Reading, there's a lot of high rises. You want to get in the lowest level of your home, of that high rise, condominium, even if it's a business. You want to get to the lowest level of that particular building, interior hall or bathroom, away from the windows. If we kind of look inside of a home, not good on the exterior walls or near a window. The best place to be is like a closet or a bathroom that doesn't have the windows, because most of the injuries, if a tornado was to pass through, is debris that flies into people's homes, smashing the windows. So that is something we'll continue to follow. Here is 3D. This is Storm Tracker 6 Live 3D, and Chris Sowers is the one who's back there manning these radars for us. If you can tilt this, I want to kind of give that vantage of 3D where you can see underneath the storm. Many times, if there's a lot of circulation, you get that cylinder that kind of comes out of the base of the storm. That we're not seeing right now, but what you are seeing is with this storm, the amount of lightning that continues to be pulled out of the storm. So that's another dangerous element to the storm, even away from a possible tornado, is the amount of lightning that is coming out of this particular storm. And we're dealing with storms across the area, but this particular one, extremely dangerous with that tornado warning. Again, I'm going to show you where that tornado warning is. Southern parts of Berks County, because the storm with the possible circulation continues to wrap in southern parts of Berks County, but it also now extends into Montgomery County, northern Chester County, there along 422 between Pottstown and Royersford. So the National Weather Service, which issues the warnings, started it in Berks County near Womelsdorf, continues it here, and very rarely in our area, because tornadoes can spin up so quickly and dissipate really quickly, very rarely do you see them extend it beyond the original tornado warning. So this is something that they are definitely watching here as it continues to pass here near Boyertown Pike, Olney Line Road. This is where that possible circulation continues to drift across the region. Cecily, I know you're also manning the radar here, and you were chatting with Chris. I don't know if you guys have seen anything different.
You know, what we were doing is because we were talking about how a lot of times we can detect with cylinders, which we are not, but we do see this classic hook echo, and this is why the National Weather Service has posted that tornado warning and extended it. So this is really the most dangerous part of the storm right here. So it's heading over Boyertown Pike, Sulphurs Road, sorry if I'm mispronouncing these, Pineland Road as well, Meeting House Road. And what you can see when you see that classic hook, what that is, it's the winds that are wrapping around the updraft of a thunderstorm. And really the northeast quadrant is the most intense as far as the wind, the rain, and the potential for hail. And we are seeing that north. So that's moving right now east-southeast at 30 miles per hour. So it's moving really quickly. Pineland Road, now it's crossing. It will just be heading towards Earlville. And Chris, why don't we widen out and we can actually do a storm track on this to show you some of the communities this is heading towards. Now, what this is, it's radar indicated. So the National Weather Service has been monitoring this particular cell. We do have another severe thunderstorm warning, but this one in particular, we started to see that signature hook echo, and that indicates the potential for some tornadic activity. So it's moving, you can see we're actually drawing that line east-southeast at 30 miles per hour. So that's the most intense part of the storm. It will be passing through Earlville at 5:43, through Yellow House at 5:40, Wood Chopper Town at 5:45, Amityville at 5:44. So this is the center of the storm that has the potential for some of that tornadic activity. It's moving east pretty quickly, and it will be passing likely north of the airport as well up there. So that's why we do have that tornado warning in effect. They extended it. It was first posted at 5:30. It has been extended until 6:15, and it has been extended right now towards the east. So this is the polygon. So what you want to do, we're not familiar with tornado warnings that much in this area, but what you want to do is look at this and think, do I live in this area? So if you live south of Boyertown, if you live in Pottstown, if you live in Royersford, these are the areas where you do want to seek shelter immediately, because with the potential for any tornadoes, we do have the possibility of that debris. So this is now what we did with the relative velocity, and we have been looking at, we've been seeing some of that gate-to-gate shear. What that means is that means when you have a bright red and you have a bright green right next to each other, it shows the wind is moving in opposite directions. Typically with a thunderstorm, you get the wind in the same direction. That's why we get the straight line winds. But this is now showing we don't have the gate-to-gate shear. They're not right next to each other. So that is a good sign. That could be an indication that the storm is weakening. But that being said, even if it's weakening and we're not seeing a lot of that rotation, this is still a dangerous storm. This still has the potential for wind gusts up to about 60, 70 miles per hour. So again, tornado safety. If you live within that polygon, if you live in parts of Berks, parts of Montgomery County, you want to seek shelter immediately. Avoid windows. That's the main thing. Go to the lowest floor in your house. Good idea. Go to the basement if you have a basement. If you not have a basement, you want to go in an interior hall, or you want to go into a bathroom. You want to put as many layers between you and the outside, because really the biggest problem with not just tornadoes, but straight line winds is the fact that you get trees that are being pulled down. You get a lot of debris being tossed. So you want to get inside as quickly as possible. So this is the 3D, and this shows that we're really focusing on Berks County and Montgomery County, but we do have some pockets of some heavy rain, and we have been issued a flash flood warning as well. The problem with today, high temperature up to 94 degrees in Philadelphia, the very high dew point. So any storms that we get will drop a lot of rain in a short period of time. So this is the cell that we're tracking that has prompted the tornado warning. It's moving east-southeast at 30 miles an hour. We also have another cell producing some very heavy rain towards Philadelphia, another cell near Doylestown and Trenton, and this will be an active time period as we head through the overnight hours. Looks like tomorrow also will be very stormy, but really the focus is on the potential for the tornadoes. But a severe thunderstorm watch has been posted also until 9 o'clock for most of our viewing area for the potential for 70-mile-an-hour winds. Now, this is Storm Tracker. This is showing the center of the storm with the potential for that tornadic activity. So Arrowhead Drive right now, Yellow House, just to the west of Earlville. If you live in Earlville, you really do want to seek shelter immediately. That's the center of this particular storm. That could be creating the tornadoes with the winds wrapping around that storm. That's when you see that hook. You see that red. That's the rain actually being wrapped around the center of the thunderstorm. The updraft of the thunderstorm typically doesn't have a lot of rain. So that's what continues to push to the east. And why don't we go ahead and widen this out, Chris, again? And what we can do is show you all the towns that are in the path of the storm. So let's go even a little bit more. That tornado warning is in effect until 6:15. So a lot of times the National Weather Service, if they see that the storm is really weakening, they will lift the warning. But at this point, that warning is in effect until 6:15. So as we show you the track of the storm, looks like it is heading towards Pottstown. These are the areas in the path of the storm. Weavertown, Yellow House is right over you right now. Earlville, Amityville, Woodchopperstown, and Douglasville. And can we go even a little bit wider and show some of the larger communities? There are a lot of small communities in Berks County, and I want to show you some of the other areas that are in the path of this potential tornado. You can see right now, looks like it will be heading just to the north of Pottstown, north of Phoenixville, if it stays together, heading towards Worcester and Lansdale as well as it continues to push to the east. And we've been looking at a lot of lightning strikes as well, 18 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes. So whenever you hear the thunder, the lightning, you do want to get inside immediately, even if the storm is not right on top of you. Thunder, you hear before you get the lightning, and you can get lightning that actually strikes about 10 miles ahead of a storm. And so you really do want to get inside immediately. So I think there's that hook. That is what has prompted the tornado warning, and that really is the most intense part of the storm. It looks like it is going to be heading just to the north of Pottstown as it continues moving east at about 30 miles per hour. So we do have a shot right now, a live shot, taking a look at Reading from the pagoda, and you can see it's dark and it's stormy, but really it looks like the worst of the storm is continuing to push to the east, and it's actually holding over pretty well as it does, moving at about 30 miles per hour. So Adam, Joseph, do you have any new information?
No, I was looking, we have this page where we can have a communication with the National Weather Service, and we was trying to look at the feed to see what they're thinking, and at this point they continue that tornado. Okay, so at this point, tornado warning until 6:15, but we're going to toss it back to Rick and Monica at the desk. But Rick and Monica, if you're in Montgomery County, Northern Chester County, and Berks County, seek shelter until 6:15 as that tornado warning continues, guys.
We want to go back to our weather story tonight, and that is that tornado warning in parts of our area. Meteorologist Adam Joseph, what's the latest? Yeah, the latest, that tornado warning continues, and that tornado warning for Berks County, just to the south and east of Reading until 6:15, south of Boyertown, Pottstown, Royersford. You're in the path of this possible storm that has possibly some rotation with it. Again, until 6:15, this started, and as you can see, they just cut it back a little bit. I don't know if you just saw that blip, but they took it away from north of Reading, but it does still continue in Boyertown, Pottstown, as well as Royersford, as that tornado warning is passing through 3 counties in our viewing area. Tornado safety, if you are just joining us, if you are in a home, you want to get to the lowest level of that home, basement, first floor. If it's just a first floor, you want to find an interior hallway or a bathroom away from the windows. If you're in an office building, if you're in a high-rise, a condominium, you also want to get onto the first floor of that particular building, an interior room away from the windows, because the windows, that is where, if there was any strong winds, most injuries occur because of flying debris that comes into homes, so that is exactly where you would want to be. As we take a look at the storm on radar right now, it's down to 10 lightning strikes. This was up to more than 70 lightning strikes as it was passing downtown Reading. So the storm, good news here, is weakening, but it is still dangerous. The warning is still up, as the National Weather Service is also still looking at the radar as well. And it's heading now just to the north of Pottstown, Frederick, and Limerick, in the path of this 422 as well, which is a very busy road. So Ironstone 547 is when you can expect where that possible circulation of the storm to pass through. Maurysville at 548. Colebrook Dale at 549, Stowe at 549, so 10 minutes to 5 o'clock, where that possible rotation is in the storm. And if we can flip that radar over to storm relative
velocity, Chris, we can take a look to see if there's any gate-to-gate share within this storm. And again, we've been showing you that element of Storm Tracker 6 live double scan to see if there is any spin in the atmosphere with this storm. And at this point, if you have been joining us, what you're looking for is any kind of green color, especially a dark green, kind of backing up and touching a red on the radar, because red is basically, when you look at this, red is winds moving away from the radar. Green, like down here, would be winds moving towards the radar. So those are opposite forces in the atmosphere, and we're not seeing any rotation. And as you can see, those two colors are pretty far apart, which is a good sign that they're not next to one another. So we're not seeing that classic look on the velocity mode of seeing any sort of rotation on the radar, but it doesn't mean that something small can spin up, because in our area, those EF01s, that enhanced Fujita scale, they usually kind of spin up, hit the ground quickly, and then go back up into the clouds here. But Douglas Drive is exactly where, in Glenville Drive is where that possible hook is. And you can see Gristmill Road. That is where you kind of get the winds to wrap into the radar. And you at home can look at this and say, that does look kind of funky. It kind of has a hook to it. And that's where you get those winds to funnel into the storm. And then you got winds behind it wrapping in this way. So Winding Road, that is also an area. Colebrookdale Road, also in Berks County, is where this storm is passing through, where there could be some of that circulation. And if we can widen out just a tad here, Chris, we can look again. Love to give warning down the road here, because here is the county border right here as it's passing almost out of Berks County and then moving into parts of Montgomery County. Here's Boyertown, Gilbertsville, New Hanover, as this is sinking to the south and east at about 30 miles an hour. Again, here are some of the updated times and the towns for you. Colebrookdale at 5:52, Upper Glasgow coming in at 5:53. Again, that's where that possible circulation is, and this bright white line is the county border line. This is Berks County. This is Montgomery County, so starting to move into some very populated areas where this possible rotation is. But the one good thing that we continue to see on the radar is that the lightning strikes now down to 5 in this vantage point. So the storm has been weakening, but it still has a bit of a look to it that would be considered dangerous, where you start to see the hook in the radar as well, Cecily.
And I've been looking at the chat with the National Weather Service as well. And at 5 minutes ago, they did issue a statement saying that they do continue the tornado warning. So we are seeing an indication that the storm,
because this popped up at like 5:15.
Yeah, it was a severe thunderstorm warning first, and it actually looked like it was weakening, and then we did get that signature hook echo.
And behind you, you can see that they extended it until 6:15.
So, and this is until 6:15, and you can see how it is extending now the warning into Chester County, into parts of Montgomery County as well, as it continues to push pretty quickly at about 30 miles per hour. So if you do live in these communities, we don't have a lot of practice with tornado warnings, but if you live within these polygons, what you want to do right now, if you're just joining us, you do want to seek shelter immediately. Obviously, anyone outside has to get inside, but get inside and get pretty far inside. What you want to do is avoid any windows. Go to the lowest floor of your home. Talk about going to the basement. If you have a basement, go in there right away. What you want to do if you don't have a basement, an interior hall or a bathroom, stay away from any windows. You want to put as many layers between you and the outside of your house as possible, because when we do get tornado warnings, or actually even when we get severe thunderstorm warnings, often the problem is the fact that there is debris that's being pushed along. So this is what really has prompted that tornado warning. When you see a radar signature like that, you see what almost looks like a hook. It's the winds wrapping around the center of the storm. In a thunderstorm, you get a very strong updraft. So the center of the storm typically doesn't have a lot of rain, very heavy rain wrapping around. So this shows some of the towns we're looking at just to the west of New Hanover. West Moyer Road, Snyder Road, Schwenk Road, Levengood Road, Locust Road, and Winding Road. These are the areas that are getting hit the hardest. So, Chris, why don't we go ahead and zoom out, go really wide, so we can give a heads up in the communities with the path in the path of this storm. We can widen out a lot. The good news, as Adam mentioned, is that the lightning strikes are beginning to diminish. So that often is a sign that the storm is weakening. You can see right now that severe thunderstorm is stretching from Pottstown up to Boyertown right now. It's just to the north and the west of Limerick. It's moving pretty quickly. Every storm we've been seeing this afternoon, this evening, has been moving east-southeast at about 30 miles per hour. So that means you have kind of filtered sunshine one moment, and then the next moment it gets dark very quickly, and that's when you get the very intense storm. So there's not a lot of warning with that. That's okay. There's a lot going on. It's live TV. Nice to see you, Adam. So 5:52 Washington Hill, Kenilworth by 5:53 New Hanover, mentioned that, 5:55. 5:56 Saratoga, and 5:57 Frickslock, and 5:58 Fagleysville. So it's really tracking just to the north of Limerick. If you've lived in Limerick for a while, you know that Limerick has had a tornado in the past. Heading towards Worcester, heading towards Lansdale. Bad timing for a storm like this, since we're really kind of deep into the evening commute. A lot of people driving. If you know anybody who's driving up the Blue Route towards Worcester, a good idea to just call them, say, just stay put a little bit longer until this cell passes, because this is very potentially dangerous. This is the 3D that shows you. It almost shows you, we're almost getting a training effect with storms, where you can see the path of these storms moving to the east-southeast, and you can see with the lightning strikes, there is an indication that the lightning strikes are really going down. So that's good. That storm is weakening, but we still have that severe thunderstorm warning. And again, I've been talking about the fact that we have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 9 o'clock. So it's going to be a stormy evening for really the northern 2/3 of our viewing area. We have a combination of heat, humidity, and an approaching cold front. That's what's triggering the strong storms. And also, we've got what's known as a triple point low that's developing along that. And what that's doing is creating the potential for what's known as wind shear. That's when you get the winds that are kind of wrapping around a storm, when you get winds going in different directions. Sorry, I'm going back in my weather computer to go back to this beginning. You get winds going different directions in the atmosphere. That can spin up a brief tornado. So again, if you're just joining us, we do have a tornado warning in effect until 6:15 for parts of Berks County, parts of Montgomery County, and parts of Chester County. So this really extends from Boyertown through Pottstown, through Royersford, and it's been moving pretty quickly to the east-southeast at about 30 miles per hour. And I think you can probably go. You got some more information?
Yeah, there's some storm reports coming in. North Amity Gardens in Berks County.
Okay.
Train spotter has trees that have been snapped and uprooted in parts of Bucks County and North Amityville Gardens. So that's the only report we have coming in, but that tornado warning still continues. And you and I, we've both been here over 10 years. We've seen that when tornado warnings are extended like this and continue for this long, it just means the National Weather Service is really seeing something happen.
There's a threat there.
There's a huge threat. I mean, usually these, as you mentioned, spin up, then they kind of go away pretty quickly, but to have it, look behind you. It just went away.
Oh, there we go.
So we're speaking of how long they continue to extend
The tornado
these.
warning has expired.
So the tornado warning has expired, and on the radar, we can see that it definitely has been weakening as it's been passing through, and that classic hook signature where you saw the spin on the radar has pretty much gone away at this point.
And we did see that with the relative velocity. We didn't have the gate-to-gate
Definitely
anymore,
when it's in Berks County, where like we're seeing some of these train spotters see these trees
But
down.
what we do want to stress that we still have a lot of danger storms out there.
Yeah.
We do have some flash flooding. We have lightning. We have some high gusty winds.
And in fact, I'm going to go through these graphics pretty quickly because I loaded one with the severe thunderstorm warning still in effect here. So you can see there's these boxes in the orange are severe thunderstorm warnings.
And actually, let me go back one. Hold on. Because we've got one still to the west. So basically, sorry.
It's in Montgomery
We went very
County,
quickly.
Bucks
Montgomery.
County.
So basically, where you have a tornado warning, we've got the severe thunderstorm warning, and now we can also see that the stormy weather. We've really been focusing on our western suburbs, but the stormy weather does extend into South Jersey right now, and you can see north of Mount Holly, New Egypt, Hightstown, parts of Mercer County, towards the shore. We do have severe thunderstorm warnings. So we have had reports of some wind damage with these thunderstorms. We've had reports of some local localized flooding with the storms and also a lot of lightning strikes. So, Chris, why don't we zoom out since we're off the tornado warning now and show you some of the individual cells that we do have the severe thunderstorm warnings for, because we've really been focusing on Berks County, on Chester County, Montgomery County, where we had that tornado warning. That has now been canceled, but you can see we've got a lot of storms firing up. I want to draw your attention to what's happening right now to the north and east of Philadelphia. Philadelphia right now, there's not a lot going on, but Lansdale, some very heavy rain. That's from that same cell that triggered that tornado warning. Near Trenton right now, we've got a lot of thunder and lightning, some very heavy rain. Lightning strikes 128 in the past 15 minutes. And you can see how these are all drifting to the east. Jacksonville's right now right over I-95. We've got some heavy rain as well. So why don't we go ahead, Chris, why don't we zoom in on the one in Trenton right now, and we can show what we're looking at, because not only do we have a lot of heavy lightning, the fact that the humidity is basically through the roof. We have dew points in the 70s. There is so much moisture with these storms. It's like a sponge that's loaded with moisture. You just touch and it all comes right out. Well, this is what we're looking at. So this is why we do have the potential for flash flooding. You can see just north of Trenton right now, crossing Route 31, we've got not only a lot of lightning strikes, but some very heavy downpours. So the evening commute, this is going to be very tough. This cell continues to move to the east. They're moving pretty quickly. Why don't we go to the east right now, east and south, Chris, and show you the other cell that we're tracking. Looks like that continues to track through Burlington County as well. And that's also causing some very heavy downpours. Jacksonville's right now heading towards the shore, heading towards Belmar as well. And this 109 lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes. You can see that storm tracker is just lighting up. Unfortunately, if you don't like the stormy weather, with a cold front that's moving in, it won't pass until tomorrow. We've got more stormy weather tonight, more stormy weather tomorrow, but the heat wave will be ending. We'll keep you posted when Action News continues after this.